Welcome to RPG Book Club. On today's episode, Fade proves he's the strongest fighter by not being able to pick up a stuffed animal. Welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I am Sam Allman.
I'm Elias Sailor Eli Warren. Didn't know.
And I'm Michael.
Didn't know we were waiting.
Come on, y'all. Come on. I always go last if I'm not the
I
one
forgot
starting
it was RPG Book Club Classic. I'm so used to just waiting for everyone else, and
We never formally decided on that, but it is the case that I go last every single time unless I go first. I was like, yeah, I'll just slot into that role.
Yeah.
That's fine. My self-esteem can handle it.
I'm
not crying on the inside.
I'm also very tired.
This is the most of us are drinking caffeine to stay conscious cast today.
Yes.
Because all of us at midnight last night, I'm like, oh hey, everybody who's probably already done because you guys are like normal awesome people, and I know that both of y'all play it on Sundays usually. How do I get through this part? And both of them were like, I don't know, I'm gonna play it at midnight tonight.
Yeah, I don't regret what I did because I made some life choices this week that I think if I explained them to anybody, they would say, yeah, that's more important than playing Xenogears. But I am very sleepy.
Yeah.
In my defense, I have a good excuse for why I wasn't playing earlier in the week, and that's because I picked up Hollow Knight for the Switch, and I've been binging that.
Oh god, I'm avoiding that game because I know what will happen.
You'll never come back. That's what'll happen. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, so today we're still up in this Xenogears, and we're gonna be playing chapters 11 through 14 of Xenogears, from Pirate's Lair all the way through Margie's Rescue.
Fun fact: this is because I cut it out of the other episodes. This is where we were originally going to end last week, and that would have been a mistake.
That would have been a big mistake. Yeah. Y'all would have been like, "Oh my god, Michael, you're such a dummy." Yeah. And yeah, I thought that there was sort of. And in retrospect, it wasn't. It was fine dramatically to do that because you like literally go and hang out in a lair and do nothing for a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how are y'all doing, Eli? How are you doing? Aside from being in a Hollow Knight.
Yeah. Oh, I'm deep in the Hollow Knight. So I only have 2 weeks of this shitty schedule left. Yeah,
I'm so happy for you.
I'm sad that I'm going back to my old job because I like the job that I'm doing right now. I just don't like the fucking hours.
Yeah.
It really seems like you dread going in, then you go in and you're just like happy for 8 hours, and then you go home and then you dread all of the things. And so it's like the shift itself, like while you're at it, isn't bad. It's just, why is it at the time that it is?
Yeah, pretty much. It has improved though, because Ken has a working bike now, so I don't have to wake up at the ass crack of dawn to take him to the train station. So the fact that I usually come home and then lie in bed for 2 hours trying to sleep and then get to sleep finally around 3 or 4 is not a big deal anymore because I don't have to wake up 3-4 hours later.
That's good.
Yeah, so
I told you it would start working out right before you have to go back.
Yeah, basically. So, but I mean, at least this means that if I ever do actually get the job, we can make it work. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is good.
That's good.
Yeah. Oh, I gotta say, sometimes with shitty jobs, especially shitty job schedules, Bernard, for example, my best bud Bernard, he got a straight up night shift, and at first he hated it, but eventually he figured it out and he made it work. And Eli, you had this for a while, and I'm not saying it's your fault that you didn't get used to it. I'm saying that I think the fact that you still don't like it means that you shouldn't be doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you were gonna end up being fine with it, that would have happened already.
Yeah.
So I definitely am glad that you're not going to be doing it anymore, because it clearly was not going to work out with any amount of time. Mm-hmm. So you shouldn't keep trying, you know.
But
and that's completely fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do think if you get I know they don't have mid shifts, but if they had a mid shift, I think you could do it. But it's the compromise to this one is that I have to stay out until 8:30 instead of I have to stay out until 12:30.
Well, the other issue is that I would want to have Tuesdays and Wednesdays off at that point because like part of my reason for being so miserable on this shift is that I can't raid in World of Warcraft with all my friends because I raid on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and like a bunch of those people are really close real life friends of mine. And so like I barely get to see them.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's.
But if you did that, you would then be my CSC, so you would see me every Thursday. So there's a plus.
Yeah,
there.
that's true too.
those are my weekend currently.
Awesome.
But
so yeah.
As for me, I still don't have AC in this house. Supposedly it's going to be fixed forever tomorrow. They're bringing out an entire new like AC unit to my apartment tomorrow, which hopefully makes it all work. I don't see how it will, but that's a whole nother thing, because like if you touch the vent is cold. There's just nothing blowing in it, but the blower in the wall is working. And they came out and looked at that and are like, okay, now you need a new unit. I'm like, but the unit is for the cold and the blower is for the blow. Are you bringing me a new blower or like cleaning things out? Right. I don't know what it is, but hopefully it'll be fully fixed tomorrow. And for these last 4 days of summer that we have, it'll be cool. But,
yeah, totally.
Yeah. But
yeah.
Other than that, I've just been dabbling in our
dabbing.
Yes, I've been dabbling and dabbing. But,
please don't. Please no.
We have a super secret, not a secret because we've said it on both the podcast and also the Discord a lot. Project coming up, and I've been working on that, and it's super awesome so far.
Yes.
Yeah, I need to do that.
Yes, and, you do.
But I've already played the game, and I know how long it is, so I know I'm fine.
I was pretty sure you said you didn't play all of the game.
No,
I did not play multiple endings of the game.
Well,
but I'm saying I know how long it takes to get through a playthrough of the game, and I am wondering because I have it on Vita now, and it would be pretty awesome to play on Vita because Vita owns, but that would mean I have to start over. Oh wait, my computer broke, so I gotta start over regardless. Okay,
you probably should anyway, just to refresh yourself. So
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I don't have to make that hard decision. My save game is definitely
decision made for you. Hooray!
But
yeah.
Having played through the first chunk of that, you definitely need to read Homestuck, Eli. Like it's
okay.
they're cut
really
they're
do.
cut from the same cloth. Like
really do.
Straight up.
Also, finish Mother 2 and play Mother 3.
Yeah, I wanted to do more Earthbound on Sunday, actually, but the Hollow Knight hole, it sucked me in.
Yeah.
It sucked me in so hard.
So I was watching, because I've been watching a lot of game analyst YouTube, not necessarily game dev, but like losers who sit around and talk about video games like me. And there was this guy that was going through a retrospective of all of the Mother games, and he was like, Earthbound is a great game, but it's not for him. And he mentioned all of the reasons that it's not for him. And I probably could get through those. But then he had one on Mother 3, and I'm like, oh no, Mother 3 will probably be my favorite game of all time if I play it. So I just kind of want to give up on Earthbound and play Mother 3, which I know is like sacrilege, but I have limited time, and Mother 3 looks great.
Here's the thing. I've said it once. I'll say it again. Mother 3 does benefit highly from having played Mother 2, although it's not directly plot related, but it's such a good game. It's such an incredible, brilliant work of art that even the small amount that it benefits from playing Mother 2 is significant, because like everything is significant, and the game would be as good as possible. And the second thing is, actually, I don't know if I have said this. You can't appreciate like playing Dragon Quest is a prerequisite to playing Earthbound.
Yeah.
I tried playing Earthbound twice in high school and got bored both times. Then I got sucked into a Dragon Quest hole and played 6 of them. Then I tried Earthbound again. Then I tried Earthbound again, and I had 0 problems with it, and I loved every second of it.
Okay.
I don't know. That's how I see it, because I mean, it is literally, what if a Japanese celebrity writer who the only video game he's ever played is Dragon Quest, made his own video game. You know what I mean? Like, anyway, that's I don't know. That's what I would say. But yeah, I don't know. All of a sudden, it's like something clicked in my brain. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Maybe we'll try it again. It's on my list because it's one of the eShop games I got on my Wii U, and I want to beat those before I pack up my Wii U. Even though now one of those eShop games is Xenoblade Chronicles 1, so I'll probably never pack up my Wii U.
When you say pack up, do you mean like just to make room, or are you like selling it?
I'm not selling it. I won't.
Oh,
I don't sell my I don't sell my systems unless something like drastic happens. Like my 360, I haven't turned on in forever, and I haven't sold it. I'm thinking about selling it and getting Vesperia for my Switch, and because then that's the only game I have on it that I haven't played yet. But then also, I like having the ability to just go play Jet Set Radio Future at any moment. And so, if they announce Jet Set Radio Future for Switch, then
bye bye Xbox.
Bye bye Xbox. But right now, it's just like, well, no, like I want access to it.
See, I sold my 360 back when I moved out here, just because it actually wasn't because I needed the money that much. I mean, I did. I needed all the money I could get. But also, I had lent my 360 long term to my buddy Sam Benninghoff. And the reason I lent it to him was just because I lived with Bernard, who also had an Xbox 360. So like, Sam was borrowing my 360. He had it for like 2 years.
Jordan himself, Sam Benninghoff?
Yep. So he lived in another town, though, right? So when I finally moved away, I was like, hey, Sam, you know how you have my 360? Because I lent it to you ages ago. He's like, yeah. And I'm like, you want to just pay me some money and then it's yours now? And he's like, yeah. So that's why it was not hard for me to sell it. But recently I made a new friend, and this new friend is a gamer, and she really likes Halo. And I was like, no, I don't have a way to play Halo. Extreme Job from Arrested Development voice. I made a huge mistake because I love Halo so much, and I hadn't thought about it really for a while, even though it's like one of my favorite game series. And then this friend mentions it, and I'm like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
What have I done with my life? Anyway, I'll skip over how I'm doing. Bad, but working through it. So let's talk about our buddy Xenogears. Okay, So when we last left us, we had just met up with a bunch of cool-ass desert pirates, and we got to the Yggdrasil, which I found out is how you pronounce that because of Dragon Quest XI, although I don't know if that's actually how you pronounce it, but I always thought it was like Yggdrasil or something, but it's Yggdrasil is how they say it in Dragon Quest.
That's how they say it in Digimon, so...
Well, there we go. Yeah. So Yggdrasil has been a thing in Dragon Quest since... 2, whatever. But it's not until 11 that they have a voice-acted character say the word. So now I'm like, okay. Anyway, yeah. So we explore it, and it's real big. So are y'all talking to like every single damn NPC?
I ended up doing it because I got really lost. But I've been trying to do it like just in general. But then like. There was a time in like the city that we get to that I'm like, okay, I've talked to like everybody on inside the buildings, and I kind of just want to go to the next plot point, and so I left some of the people on the street alone.
I am definitely Mr. Two Damn NPCs, but Bledavik was even I was a little like, do I really need to though?
Yeah.
But yeah, so the NPCs, I was thinking of like, I'm going to write down the NPCs I like the most, but then it was getting late. But the Yggdrasil NPCs are funny. Did y'all notice the recurring theme that they're all like just dumbasses?
Yeah.
And I love the two in the hallway that are standing guard, and he's like, oh, like you can go in or whatever. I'm not standing guard just because I broke a hole in the wall or because I broke the dishes the other day or whatever.
Yep. And then like those are the two that I screenshotted, but like. They're all so dumb. Also, this one guy standing next to a tree, and he's telling the tree to grow bigger.
Yeah.
And he turns to you, and he goes, this tree was planted when the young master was
born.
Oh my
God,
It grew along with the young master. With it, our hopes and dreams drew to fruition, too. Anyway, the door next to you is the elevator. Use the switch to go up and down. Just like, everyone just fucking spills their life story at the slightest provocation.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. I will say, though, so a few things. I decided this week that this game... Despite what Bernard might say, this game is in fact a masterpiece, if only for one reason, and that is it's just incredible 3D modeling. Just every room, when you're outside of the, when you're in the docks outside of the Yggdrasil, and you just see like the curve of it stretching into the distance, like the way that it sets it's very theatrical because sometimes you're inside of an actual building. and then if you're in a building, it actually looks like a real building. But when you're like on the docks outside the Yggdrasil, it's really more like a stage. Like it's an abstract, like representing this idea, you know, and the background just fades into blackness, and just like, gosh, the environments, the set dressing, the gears, like just it's the best 3D on the PlayStation.
Yeah,
maybe.
Like it reminds me, and I like it clicked to me. In a little bit, you're escaping from a thing and you get into a gear, and it uses sounds that are almost exactly from Mega Man Legends. And I'm like, that's what this is. This is like a Mega Man Legends type art style that they're using for all the 3D models, which is my other favorite 3D on the PlayStation, is in Mega Man Legends.
Yeah. And also, like, there's so many unique assets. Like, so when you're in the Yggdrasil, there's like that, there's like the fancy like dining hall.
Mm-hmm.
And the floor is like a marble, like a shiny marble texture. And there's like a chandelier with transparency, and there's like metal. There's a lot of shiny, a lot of reflective stuff in this game, and lighting, and like it's just beautiful. So yeah, I really enjoy exploring it. And then what was one thing I was gonna say about this damn section? Oh yeah, also in this area, I have to gush on this. Is what I wrote in my notes as is the greatest NPC in video game history. Did any of y'all talk to Franz, the sound guy?
Yes. He's incredible. He's Altician.
So you go into Eli, do you know who this is?
I can't remember.
he's the dolphin boy.
So you go to the bridge, and they got the Star Trek style, you know, circle of people with a captain in the middle. And one of the dudes you talk to, is some weird like porpoise for a head guy.
He's
sometimes in this game you just randomly have humanoid animals, even though most of the people
totally missed this guy because I don't remember Dolphin Boy.
There's one Dolphin Boy, and so he's sitting there, and he's not actually wearing like I think he's just wearing like regular clothes. I don't know. You know, sometimes you can't tell what's going on with the character portraits. It looks like he might be wearing like big like studio like producer headphones,
something like that.
And his name is Franz. And you talk to him, and he goes, "Oh, sorry, I didn't realize you were there." And then he goes, "Oh, I turned out I took a video of this, not a picture." Okay. He goes, "Oh, sorry, I didn't realize you were there." And he says, "Want to hear some hot sounds that I have recorded?" And you can say sure or no thanks. And then you say sure, and it says the Franz collection, number 14. And then like you hit, and basically he's, you know how a lot of games have a sound menu, a sound check menu, where you can listen to all the music. And you know how some games, not only do they put all the music in the sound check menu, but they actually just dump every sound file. So it's like if you go to the very end of the sound test menu, you can also listen to every sound effect in the game. And like, that's what this guy is. So
but it's random.
You say, I want to hear a sound, and it just randomly selects a sound effect from the entire game and plays it. And then he goes, "Want to hear more?" And you can say, "Yeah, let me hear some more." And you can just keep clicking this. And sometimes it'll be like a single footstep. Or a water drop. Other times it'll be like the sound of a gear charging up. Other times it'll be like a low, deep rumble of rocks that goes on for like 2 minutes. Other times it'll be like super abstract sci-fi. Like it's every sound effect in the entire game. And I'm imagining like I love this guy. Like this guy is. I sent it to my buddy Harrison, creator of the band Dragon Warrior. And he's like, this guy is me. Like, because I imagine this guy literally is just all day. He's just recording sound effects because he's just this weird like experimental ambient musician, and he just has this collection of sounds. He's like, "Dude, listen to this sound I heard. It's a rock falling." Dude, this sound is an insect skittering across the floor. And he's just like so excited about it. And I spent way too much time with Franz, and I love him.
And Faye doesn't just like, you don't answer yes or no. You're just like, hell yeah, play me more. It's like all super excited, and I can just see these two dudes like hanging around with like sharing earbuds, like they're on the school bus in high school, and just like sharing earbuds, listening to like crickets and shit.
Yeah, and he's like, "Dude, check this one out," and Faye's like, "Full." So anyway, yeah, I love Franz. He's my homeboy. I hope he becomes an important character. He doesn't.
When you said he was like, "Do you want to hear a hot sound?" I thought that like if you said yes, he was just gonna play like dolphin noises.
If you clicked it up, maybe he would. Maybe
it's probably there, yeah.
The game, right? Yeah, the dude's totally working on his like vaporwave. He's a SoundCloud rapper.
Turns out, Xenogears, I almost said Dragon Quest. You guys talk about Dragon Quest too much. Turns out Xenogears actually has every sound known to man in the game files. You just have to really, really try to find all of them.
Eventually you can hear the language of God. We should be able to over this game. So anyway, you end up going from Yggdrasil to the pirate hideout, which basically means you go from a very large series of hallways to an even larger series of hallways.
With elevators that have confusing geometry, but I'll get to that when we get to that.
Yeah, that's true. So you get there, and they come out of the Yggdrasil, and they're like, "We're home." And these kids run up to Bart, and they're like, Bart, what did you get us? And he's like, well, we made 2 new friends. Also, we found the fucking god gear. And the kids are like, that's boring as shit. What did you get us? And he's like, I found some amber with a bug in it. And they're like, hell yeah, amber with a bug in it.
What's also great is they're like, oh my god, that's so cool. And then they whisper to each other, what's amber? I don't know. So it's like, this like shiny thing you don't even know what it is better than the fucking god gear.
Yeah, the game starts having a lot of humor. Like, the more NPCs there are, just the more humor the game has, and just like everyone's just so goofy.
Yeah.
So the butler guy, I just can never not think of him as the rabbit from Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends.
That's exactly what he is.
He wants to chat, so he's like, "Hey, Faye, can we chat?" And he just starts reminiscing. He's like, "Yeah, we haven't been back in the capital of Ave in years." And Saitan's like, "Wait a second, is Bart the Prince of Ave?" and the butler's like, "No."
Yes.
Yes. Like, he literally is just like, "What? I didn't say anything." And then Saitan pushes just the tiniest amount, and he's like, "Okay, fine, I'll tell you. Yes, he is the Prince of Ave."
He caved so quickly.
Also, like, half the NPCs have already alluded to this.
Yeah.
They have, once again, people in this game have very bad infosec. Okay?
Yeah.
Ellie is just like, "Yeah, I'm a soldier from fucking whatever place."
Mm-hmm.
And these people are like, "Yeah, Bart's the Prince of Ave, strangers we just met who definitely could be spies. Like, come on. Hey, come to our secret hideout.
And then half of them say,
all of our secrets."
Half of them say, there's rumors of spies from Kislev hanging around us, so we have to be safe. But by the way, do you want my social security number?
Yeah, it's true. They can tell you're the main character, man. They can just, Faye's just got that look, you know? They can just tell that he's chill.
One thing in this scene with the rabbit and Saitan, Saitan constantly like feels really shitty that Bart is a pirate, and so the whole he'll go
constantly
he'll go and be like, all right, so this is his whole tragic life, and here's also how I'm explaining how we don't rob from people, we don't pillage, we just find stuff from like ruins and stuff. And he's like, okay, cool, but why piracy? And it's just like, come on, Saitan. Like, he said it like 40 times, and I can say it again.
Literally every other sentence, he's like, but piracy is wrong. It's like friggin' in the room. It's like, it's wrong.
Yeah, well, so is having that hairstyle and potentially being evil. So, you know, you can't really judge Saitan.
Yeah, Saitan. Or
Hyuga.
Hyuga. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I forgot to mention earlier, we were talking to the NPCs earlier, what's his ass? Some random NPC tells you some backstory. Turns out what happened was the Yggdrasil was having engine troubles in the past, and Bart, who later admits he doesn't know shit about machines, so it's funny that he would think he could fix this situation, rashly jumps in to try and fix the engine. And Sigurd is like, oh shit, so Sigurd jumps in after him to save him, and they both lost an eye. So that's how they lost their eyes. But it's actually a good story because they're
bros.
I love Bart. I really love Bart.
Yeah,
every NPC is like, Bart is rash and he's kind of dumb, but like he's such a fucking good guy and he's so brave and we all respect the shit out of him.
Yeah. I love Bart. I'm shipping Faye and Bart super hard right now.
Oh yeah, I mean, the game's not subtle about it. In fact, after you talk to the butler, so the butler tells you. Turns out a bad dude named Shahan took over Ave. They were basically a military coup like 12 years ago. And people thought that the young prince died, but really, Bart is the young prince. Prince Bartholomew Fatima. And they're being pirates, and they're building up their army to retake the throne. Hooray for monarchy. This game is pro-monarchy, like most RPGs.
Yeah.
Because everyone knows that monarchies are the divine natural order, and replacing them is always bad.
Yeah.
So anyway, but they can't. So Titan's like, well, it seems like y'all have a good army here. Y'all have lots of gears. Y'all have strength. Why don't y'all try to retake the throne? And they're like, well, right now they've captured the Princess of Nisan, who is also Bart's cousin. And it's like, oh, you can't try to invade while they have this very bad hostage. So what they tell you through these ancient scrolls that, again, they really shouldn't just be showing to anybody, is that 500 years ago... and they allude to the fact that, like, wait, you have 500-year-old scrolls? I thought that, like, only Ethos had those. And he's like, yeah, well, this one's really secret. So here it is, blown up on my projector.
They also brought, before we get to the scrolls, they mention that that Bart and Margie are the holders of the Fatima Jasper, which is apparently a big important thing, and I forgot exactly what it is, but I know that that's an important bit.
I was just gonna lump that all together.
Okay.
So the scrolls say that 500 years ago, the founder of the kingdom of Ave, Fatima the First or whatever, had to like fight off a bunch of, I don't know, probably like hordes, barbarian hordes or whatever. And to do that, he like made a pact with the gods or something, and basically got a bunch of giant fucking robots.
Mm-hmm.
And after he was done, he like hid the robots away, like he sealed them away somewhere. And then unrelated, there's also a legend of this very important Fatima dynasty treasure that can only be opened if you have the two Jasper rogues and you put them together. And they're like, we think the Jasper that those two treasures might be one and the same, right? So it might be a really incredible gear or gears if we get this treasure. And Bart has one half of it, and Margie has one half of it, but they don't explain what it is. If it's like an object, a pendant, a symbol on
it's
their
my
hand,
favorite Steven Universe villain.
Yes, exactly. So that's why they kidnap Margie. They kidnap Margie to get her half of the Jasper, and they're trying to figure out where the other half is. They don't know that it's Bart.
Yeah.
So Bart asks Faye to help, and he blows up and is like, "Why is everyone asking me to fight all the time?" Which, like, fair, like, right? For once, right? He storms off. So before that, I was going to mention this earlier. An NPC. Speaking of Bart and Faye being besties, you're in this room, and this old lady is like, "Hey, Bart was telling me about you. He said that he made a new big strong friend." Or something like that, and then goes on to say how Bart's like really lonely and stuff, and how he's so excited. Apparently, Bart's just been bragging to everyone about how cool Faye is and how Faye is big and strong.
Ship it so hard.
Yeah, which is great. So later, you meet Bart for a really sweet scene, because Bart was like, "You gotta help me fight," and then Faye got all mad, and he's like, "Bro, I'm sorry, bro. Like, bruh, like, Saitan told me your story. Like, you okay, bro? Like, I'm here for you, bro. Like, I'm really sorry."
I'm gonna keep saying bro, so it's not gay.
Yeah, exactly.
Or so it's more gay.
It's like, King, you are valid, okay? You are valid, bro, and I'm here for you. And you don't have to fight, but I want you to because you're strong and you're big, and I love you. Okay? Okay. Awesome.
Awesome. Now, can we kiss? Sorry.
So then you have to go to someone says, "Hey, you should go talk to the mechanic, which is with your gear," which I think Sam has something to say about that.
Yeah. So
Sam's vlog has something to say about this.
So you have this heartfelt thing with Bart, and Faye's like, "Why are you hounding on me? Why don't you leave me alone? I'm just out of here." And you do this. You're walking towards the Yggdrasil. You're going to climb into the Yggdrasil, but Bart pops out and he talks to you. So, like, gameplay-wise, your path has been to the Yggdrasil. So then Bart pops out and he's like, "Hey, go to the hangar. The mechanic wants to fix up your gear." And you're like, "Okay, you know where the hangar is on the Yggdrasil. You are walking to the Yggdrasil. You should have gone to the Yggdrasil." So I spent forever walking around talking to every NPC there was on the Yggdrasil, which there were now only 3 because they were all home and hanging out at their houses. And I was just like, I can't find anything. No one's here. My gears aren't even in the hangar. Like, what is this? This is so dumb. And so then I walk up and I explore the rest of the pirate fortress, and there's no hangars there. And I'm like, what even is this? But the elevator you get on has doors on both sides for some reason. no, I don't know any elevators that really do that. The elevator at the top, you only can get on one side, so it doesn't even like make you think to walk out the back of the elevator and then take a left, and then there's more fortress with more gears and stuff. And it took me forever. Though, to be fair, how I found out where to go is I was looking at RPG Site's playthrough, and they were also lost and went to every room of the Yggdrasil before they found out where to go.
Yeah, because what happens is they're like, go to the hangar, but it's like the Yggdrasil has a hangar, but now we're at the pirate's lair, and the Yggdrasil docks inside of a much larger hangar because it's large enough to dock the entire Yggdrasil, and there's another gear hangar where the gears go when you're not in the Yggdrasil, and that's where your gears are. And luckily, that was such an obnoxious thing that I remembered it from the last time I played the game 10 fucking years ago. So I had no problem with it. I was like, oh yeah, there's a second hangar. So you talk to the mechanic, and he's basically just like, dude, your gear's amazing, holy shit. But it's got all these mysterious black boxes that I don't know what they do. I don't know how to activate them, but I bet if you did activate them, then your gear would be even more powerful. So just
wink, wink,
dropping
nudge,
that
nudge.
in there.
Yeah,
wink,
yeah.
wink, nudge, nudge. Say
Those
more,
are the
say
black
more,
boxes that kill gods.
The god-killing boxes. Exactly. So after that little bitty scene, you're walking again, and Sigurd's like, "Hey, Faye, Sigurd." Or Sigurd's like, Faye, come over here. Let's spy on your brother. So you look off into the distance, and you see Bart standing dramatically, and he's talking to himself / his dead dad.
Yeah.
Saying, basically saying Faye's his soulmate.
Yeah.
And then he says a pattern of sentence that I think is a pattern is going to recur in this game. He goes, man, he's like, Dad, I told Faye he was running away, but really I'm the one who
He really did.
And I feel like I told you you're X, but really I'm the one whose X is like has already happened like 3 times in this game. So basically, anytime anybody criticizes anyone for anything, you can just assume that's projection.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, is pretty real to life.
Yeah.
It definitely is.
And Sigurd's like, dude, Bart really needs a friend, because he's the prince, and we're all literally just his handlers, so, like, we kind of can't be his friend. It's a little different. Life's really hard. You really need to, like, he just really needs someone to hold him and wipe his tears. So, like, you know, you don't have to do the thing, but, like, you should.
Yeah.
You really should. Just to make him happy. So then...
We really need each other.
So then... Yeah, I think at this point Faye says he's going to.
No, Faye doesn't decide to until everything blows up.
Okay. So Faye's like, I'm not sure, trauma, you know. So you go to bed. And at night, there's this really cool scene where Gebler shows up, and I found out that my phone autocorrects Gebler to gender, which is hilarious.
Gender showed up? Oh, God.
I know, right?
I know
this game,
feeling.
Gender's going to keep showing up in this game.
That's like an everyday feeling for me. Like, oh, gender showed up. Shit.
It's like, oh no.
So this is a super stupid aside before gender shows up, but so they tell you to go rest, and so you walk to the barracks, and I didn't see the guy standing by the door. That is the inn that lets you go to sleep, and so I was just like checking out all the beds, and there's this one that has a dude reading what looks like a manga in his top bunk, and he's laying down. But because he's a grown-up, his hitbox is big person and not a tiny person. And so you can jump on top of him, and therefore you're floating like 5 feet above a gaping chasm that is the rest of the room. And it just made me really happy, and I wanted to bring it up because I took 3 screenshots of it.
Nice. Actually, yeah, this game has a lot of stuff. So in the what's it called? The barracks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can climb up the little ladder for every single bunk bed.
Mm-hmm.
And once you're on top of one bunk bed, you can jump from one bunk bed to the other if you do your jumps right. And it's just real fun. You're just platforming all around the place, jumping from bed to bed.
That's a big if for me. I can't fucking platform in this game.
It's actually not that hard. I mean, I know I'm better at things. Like, I know I have trouble platforming, but like, I didn't even miss it on my first try. Like, I don't think you have to be running. Like, even if you're just walking speed, you're just like, boop, jump into the other bed.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a good time. So at night, there's a really cool scene where as if this game doesn't have enough bad guys already, we're about to get 4 more.
Mm-hmm.
These Gebler special forces that all have character portraits and names, and also you don't kill them at the end; they run away. So I guess they'll show up again later.
Mm-hmm.
I think I know when. They're just like, oh, we found the base. Let's fuck up their shit. Yeah. So they like blow a hole in the side of the base so that all the other robots can invade, and they're just trying to fuck up your shit, I guess. And
it does this in like one of my like this next whole chunk is just filled with like of cinematic greatness, and it makes me so happy. It's probably my favorite bit in the game so far. But the first thing goes, and it's like a bird's eye view, and you can't really tell what's going on. And then they're talking about like, oh yeah, this is definitely the base, like blah 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 blah. And then the bird's eye view like goes down like towards the ground, and then you hear like ka-chunk on the ground, and you're like, oh, this is a first person like camera view from their gears. And so you see everything like
so cool.
them exploring it in first person, as if you're like right there with them.
Style.
And it's so cool. Like
and this game in this chapter, I'm realizing its strongest thing, and this is just class. I mean, this is just classic film theory. This is literally just like fucking, or even literary theory. Like the best thing this game does dramatically is surprisingly switch to a new perspective when you're not expecting it.
Yeah.
Which again is like, Andre, I really seriously. Eisenstein could have fucking told you that, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so like anytime a scene ends and then a new scene begins and you're in a new place with a new character, it's always just like you're sucked right in. You're like, oh, this is intriguing. What's happening?
Yeah.
And the first person makes it even cooler. So then you fight a bunch of dudes, basically. Everyone's like, oh no, there's bad guys, oh no, and you fight them, and Faye still doesn't want to fight. He's like, I don't know, man. But Saitan gets a gear for the first time in the game.
And I like it.
And it's green because Saitan is green. That's how he knows it's his. You fight a bunch of dudes. And again, it's like you're not actually having trouble, but they're like, oh, it's so hard. If only Faye would help.
like literally one death blow was taking everybody down, and they're like, can't believe we did that. I was like, I pressed triangle twice. I don't know what's up.
Oh, my thumb is so sore.
But it is nice, because as I mentioned last week, the game still has yet to really take off the training wheels as far as like actually letting you have any really agency in the game. So because it's so linear, they kind of have to make it easy, because if it wasn't, it's not like you could fucking do anything about it. So it's like, well, we didn't really give you any chances to grind or buy equipment, so we definitely wouldn't want someone to get stuck here. So then, classic Faye, some like one of the little kids is about to get hurt by a robot, and then all of a sudden Faye shows up from off screen and saves the kid, and now he in a robot, and he's like, I gotta find my own path. Oh, no, sorry. So then you fight all the baddies.
Yeah. Oh.
And afterward...
real quick, before we do it, there was something that may be important. It may just be a throwaway, but it's a tie to Xenoblade, so it caught my eye.
Oh, nice. Do tell.
They are... so the bad guys, whose names are Breuer, Strotsky, Helmholtz, and Rank. That's it. And so they are all, like, the normal dudes are just normal dudes in a gear, but those four are using what's called Drive, which is, like, the driver from the thing. Yeah. And so it's, like, it's a performance-enhancing drug that, like, makes you have a bond with your machine, which is, like, literally how drivers and blades work. And so it's one of those, like, totally cool, like, oh, this is an idea that we took and ran with, but it's legally distinct so that Square won't sue us.
Yeah, I think that doesn't end up being important. I think what it is just like, that's why these fucking random-ass people who are not the main characters can, like, even pose a threat to you. Or that's why the bad guys are dangerous, because they can just make everyone have this drive, to make them better at robots. Yeah. These guys, I'm pretty sure they end up being, like, just
moops.
one-off mini bosses that you have to fight later. Oh, here's this guy again, you gotta beat him, it's a boss. And afterwards Faye is just like, I gotta find my own path. Bart is on his path, he has a reason to fight, I don't, but the only way I'm gonna find meaning with my life is by doing things, which is I'm connecting with a lot right now. I'm like, I really need to find meaning in my goddamn life,
besides just Dragon Quest.
Exactly. So it's like, I'll help you. And we're off to Operation Ave, the rest of this chapter, which is this big plan it's going to be a plan, to rescue Margie.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. So
we go to the city of Bledavik, which Sam mentioned earlier is a city so big it has its own world map.
Yeah, which is really cool. one final thing before we head in, and I just saw it in my screenshot, but the instead of saying, all right, make sure you do everything here because we're about to go into a different chapter and you can't come back, Bart says, all right, let me just say goodbye to the women before we go. And I was like, nope, just wait. And I'm like, you're going to ghost these girls because there's no cell phones in this universe, apparently.
Yep.
One cute thing about this is that, I feel like Bart is kind of like the Junpei of this game, except his skeeviness is not, it is only barely there.
Yeah.
I don't think he's even skeevy. It's more like, he's just, when he says I'm going to talk to the ladies, like, I feel like it's not, I don't think he's creeping them out at all, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like
he
he's
just
a
has
ladies' man. He's more like,
has like a fan
he's more
club.
like Han Solo. Yeah, like I don't think he's hitting on them grossly. I think it's just like, he likes the ladies and they like him, but also he's probably too busy doing leadership shit to actually be like a grosso. I do think later they might do the thing where he like hits on a little girl or something. I don't remember.
Well, he seems for the most part like a genuinely good guy, so I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt for now. Yeah,
so he seems like the lovable rogue type that they were trying to make Zidane in Final Fantasy IX, except Zidane
was like. Oh wait, no, I'm thinking. Sorry, I thought we were talking about. I thought we were talking about Rogue Galaxy. You said Final Fantasy IX, and you said Zidane, and for some reason my head went, the asshole guy in Zegrim. That's his name. Yes. How could I forget him? Seagrams.
Yeah. But
sorry.
Yeah, Zidane is supposed to be this type where he's like lovable and loves all the ladies, except he's constantly like touching Garnet's butt and stuff like that.
Gross.
And then it's like it's okay because they get together in the end, quote unquote. But it's like really really yucky to go back and play in 2018. But this I feel is what they were trying to go for with Zidane, is where he's like, oh, all the ladies love me, but it's like a pomp and circumstance, like parade style, just like finger guns over at him, not at like a
finger guns, exactly. That's it. Because I mean, he only has one true love, and that's Faye.
Yeah,
right? He's saving himself for gay marriage.
Yeah,
or Faye marriage, as they say.
Marriage.
So you go to this city, and right off the bat, again, like this game, anytime it cuts to a new scene with new characters, you're so engaged. The second you enter Bladevik. So yeah, it's got like. You enter Bladevik, and it's got its own world map. And what I mean by that is it's like a tiny, like, scale model of this giant fucking city. And on this giant fucking city are a few little, like, triangles that are, like, if you walk up to them, you can enter that area, you know? And there's only 3 areas, so it's not, like, enormous, but it's really cool because you see, these are different areas in this larger city.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as you enter, though, before you even get to walk around, there's a little cutscene taking place on this 3D world map where you're a little bitty Faye and there's a little miniature city and then there's a little miniature airship flying around. And there's a dramatic like following this airship and it's very Star Warsy. There's this long Star Warsy / 2001: A Space Odyssey ass like lovingly rendered like almost fetishized like sequence of this beautiful ship like slowly entering into a hangar and then descending through the hangar, and dramatic camera angles to show this ship, you know, arriving. And who should it be but 2 more villains?
Yay.
Here we meet Miang, who is this blue, it's not purple, but blue, sort of an interesting shade of blue haired woman, and Ramses, who is a cool general type dude. And they're just like, we're arriving on the ship. We're talking about lambs. We're definitely with the Gebler army. Let's go talk to Shakan. So Miang is like, hey, Shakan and General Vanderbilt are here to see you, Commander. And then there's this long scene of like them walking through like the facilities and stuff. Again, it's very much like Darth Vader arriving at the Death Star kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
I'm calling him Shaka Khan, by the way.
One thing that they do with this walking through everything is their ship looks about like the Yggdrasil, except it's clean, which is one of the big things they do in Star Wars. Is all the rebel ships are like duct tape and spit shine, and then the Imperials have like cleaning droids and shit, and like that's definitely what's going on.
That's because they're the ones with all the money.
Yeah,
like, all the space money.
Doing like a Yeah. Also, they do like a West Wing style walk and talk.
Mm-hmm.
So what's really cool about this is the dialogue boxes will still wait for you to click, but like what happens is they're walking and the camera's dramatically following them. There's one part where the camera gets really low and they're walking right to left across like a walkway past all of these soldiers, and it's this great profile, sort of like it's literally a like a dolly shot, right? Following them, and while they're walking, they're talking, and the way it's timed is if you're reading at the rate that a normal, a regular average human would read. By the time you're done clicking through the dialogue boxes, they'll have gotten to the screen transition, basically. But if you sit there, then what happens is they get to the end of the screen and then you click through the rest of the dialogue. And they do that through like 4 and 5 screens, showing them walking through this facility while talking, and it's so cool.
Yeah.
Especially because they rendered all of these areas that you like never go to.
Yeah.
It's just for this cutscene. And anyway, so they talk with Shaka Khan. And there's going to be a...
If you haven't, if those listening haven't played this part yet and are using the fast text game start codes, this is one of the places where you wait until they sit in the elevator at the end and then read your text. Otherwise, you'll crash the game because all these fancy camera moves
doesn't quite have the same effect then.
all these fancy camera moves are tied to the text boxes, and so if you end them too early, it doesn't know what to do and will explode.
Great.
So.
Oh, be careful! Yeah,
yeah. I might actually end up taking the fast text off because later there's a big speech by Shakan, which they did just like in real time with no clickies, which meant the fast text skipped to the end of it, and so
you didn't get to read any of it.
I didn't get to read.
Yeah, that was weird. There was no clicking. You couldn't like wait. Like you had to actually like look at the screen. You couldn't look away.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it turns out there's going to be a ceremony tomorrow. It's the 500-year anniversary of the founding of the Kingdom of Ave. So just like the beginning of Chrono Trigger, we're going to get this big festival thingy to celebrate the anniversary of a founding of a country.
But don't worry, the first NPC you talk to says, "Don't worry, the party's going to fucking suck."
yeah, it's not as exciting as the Lonely Affair on Chrono Trigger. And it turns out there's also going to be a martial arts tournament because they have a martial arts tournament every year on the anniversary. And also, by the way, we dug up some kind of so basically Ramses is like, "Hey, Shaka Khan, like how's everything going? Like, did you get the important item?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, we dug up this like 500-year-old powerful weapon." And Ramses is like, "No, you fucking idiot! I don't give a shit about that. I'm talking about the Fatima Jasper." And he's like, "What? The what?" And then he and Miang are like, "I wonder if it could be a relic." So I don't know what that is, but they're looking for some important relic. And then they go try and interrogate Margie, and she's super cute. I'm critical support for Margie. Big Margie fan here.
Yeah, so in this scene, they do something which now makes me understand none of this game. So he talks to Margie, and he asks her about the Fatima Jasper in quotes, not in dashes. It's in quotes. So now I don't understand the whole dash thing. Like,
what is
maybe the dash thing is for like translated words.
Maybe,
you know, like lamb or whatever. But Jasper is I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's so weird.
It's very strange.
Yeah. So they interview her, they interrogate her, and she's a cutie. She just like plays dumb. She's like, "I don't know what you're talking about. Can you bring me some food?"
Oh, she's also called the Holy Mother, and I think they called her this before we met her. And then we meet her, and she's this little girl, and I'm like, why is she a holy mother? Like,
yeah, so she's the holy mother of, which maybe is like the princess or some sort of leader of Nissan, which you get the impression here is some sort of order of nuns.
Yeah.
That you haven't met yet. But they must be very important. They seem like they're good people. There's a wonderful, more amazing 3D modeling here. You're watching the scene happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, from off screen, there's a dialogue box that is like,
"Oh, this part was amazing."
There's a dialogue box that's like, "They're really good at interrogating. Oh, they're way better than me." And you're like, "Who's talking?" And then the screen changes, where just a slight change, where all of a sudden a slight border appears around everything you're seeing, and you realize what's happened is it has now transitioned from you watching the scene to it being a video monitor of the scene. And then of course it zooms out from the video monitor, and now we're in another room, and in this other room it's Shaka Khan and other people watching this happen on the monitors. But then the coolest freaking part happens. It zooms out from the screen, and you're in this lovingly designed room, and the room has like this ornate wooden desk, and the wooden desk has a little liquor bottle on the left, and Shaka Khan reaches up, his little sprite, right, sort of makes a little motion, and he rotates the liquor bottle, and then that screen that they were viewing retracts into the desk. And again, all of this is modeled, and it moves, and it makes sound effects, like the wood like creaks as it retracts the screen.
I was pretty impressed with it. I didn't know. I was never a PlayStation boy, so I didn't know like the capabilities of the PlayStation. I just know that the games nowadays typically don't look great. At least not to my modern game loving eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not that this is it's not that this is, I would say, technically impressive for the PlayStation, so much as that it is just very artistically impressive.
Yeah.
It looks nice.
PlayStation can do this. I'm not surprised PlayStation can do this, but I am surprised that someone bothered to put this much work into it.
Yeah,
because you don't normally see that.
This is, for me, this is the PlayStation equivalent of like a Chrono Trigger or a Final Fantasy VI that were like, okay, yeah, we're sprites, but like, what if we have a giant sprite that's just the orchestra that's going to take up half your screen, and then blah blah blah. And this is them doing that. They're like, okay, well, yeah, we have low polygon models, but like, why can't we do a low polygon version of a retracting TV screen? And it's so cool.
And it's weird because it didn't come, unlike Chrono Trigger or Final Fantasy, it did not come that late in the PlayStation's life cycle. It came out relatively smack dab in the middle of it, honestly, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, like,
so anyway,
like how I was saying, it was reminding me of Mega Man Legends 2. Like, that was like the last game released on the PlayStation type thing, and this was so far before it and has the same vibe and detail and stuff.
So Shakan here is mad that someone leaked the info about the Fatima treasure. So it's kind of vague here. I think he's mad that someone leaked it to Gebler. Like, he thought that getting the Fatima treasure was just their own thing. And then Gebler, this invading / helpful army that's sort of imperial style supporting their regime, is actually after it. He's like, fuck no, I wanted to get it. I didn't want Gebler to get it, right? So there's a little bit of tension there. Like, Gebler helped. So Gebler are the ones who like helped Shakan gain power. Like, they basically, it was a state sponsored coup, coup by the nation of Solaris. But Shakan obviously is not happy with that arrangement. He'd rather be his own guy and not just be a stooge, right? So then you get to the town. You actually get to explore the town. It's incredible. There's so much shit. Everyone's dad is in the army. First of all,
it's a town entirely of old ladies and young kids, and it's amazing.
And it's a recurring theme. Like, every MC you talk to is like, I hope my son doesn't die in the war, or the kid's like, I miss my dad. You know. There's the 3D modeling is awesome. You can jump around. It's such a big city with alleyways and ledges and verticality. It's so cool. Did y'all see the Shortcut Kid?
Yeah,
the Shortcut Kid.
I love it.
Yeah, there's this kid where there's this ledge that's a little bit too high to jump onto, and you can just go up a staircase that's nearby. But there's a kid standing on a little wooden crate, and he's like, "Hey, you can get up to this ledge faster if you use this crate. You want to use it?" And you're like, "Sure." And he's like, "Okay, that'll be 5 gold." So you pay him 5 gold, and he steps off of the crate, and then you can jump on the crate and get up on the ledge. And as soon as you go up there, he jumps back on the crate. Like, all right, like this kid's hustling. Like, this is his business. He runs a shortcut business.
So I counter hustled this little boy. I paid him the first time, but he's on an awning that artistically is raised to block the sun. And your jump is long enough that if you stand in front of the boy, but then take a step back so you're up the incline a little bit, you can jump over the boy's head and just make it onto the thing.
See, I thought maybe that was the case, but I wasn't able to make it work.
Yeah, I did that every time from then on. I made sure I jumped right over his head, too. It was like...
It's like, fuck you, kid. Yeah. There's a lot of cool dynamic scenes here. There'll be like dialogue boxes that trigger without you clicking on anything. It'll just trigger when you walk near somebody. There's this one part where these kids, like, they steal something, and if you follow them after they steal it, so there's this vendor, and there's a kid nearby the vendor, and the kid, like, runs past the vendor, and the vendor's like, "Hey, you kid, stop!" And he's like, "What?" And he's like, "Stealing food?" And he's like, "No, papa." And he's like, "Telling lies?" And he's like, "No, papa." And then he's like, "Open your hand." And he shows them, and there's nothing there. And the guy's like, "Okay, I guess you didn't steal anything." And the kid runs off. But if you follow the kid through like a winding little alleyway, you talk to him, and he and this other kid are like commiserating, like kind of sniggering. and you talk to them, and they're just like, "Hey, fuck off!" Like they clearly stole something. It owns. You can vape in this game.
Oh, did you complete that little side quest with those kids, or did you just stop it at the fuck off?
Wait, that was a side quest? No, what happened?
Yeah, so you talk to him, and he's like, "Look, I'm only stealing because like things are hard because my grandma can't work and I'm too little to work and blah 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 blah. Things are so hard." And so you're like, "Okay, here's $1,000." And he's like, "Wait, what? Okay, I'm gonna go give this back, and then I promise to not steal anymore, and I'll work twice as hard." And it's just a feel good moment.
Well,
it's
apparently
I did give him the $1,000, but I guess I didn't see the what happened. I guess I didn't see the
there is more to that because apparently I was reading in a guide that they open a shop later.
Oh,
that's so cool.
That's so cool.
Man, that's tight. There's also this kid who wants to play hide and seek,
and I spent a really long time on hide and seek, and I realized that what this hide and seek thing was we have dynamic camera angles, but we don't give them in your own control. So therefore, this place is really hard to navigate. So all the places where you can't ever see yourself, go check there. That's probably where the boy's hiding. And they turn it not a bug, it's a feature.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, hey, that awning that you can't really see around, check behind it. You know.
Yeah.
You can always like see him like peeking. What'll happen is maybe you won't be able to see him at one angle or another angle, but in the rotation between the angles, you see him, and you're like, there that fucker is. Yeah, and if you complete hide and seek, he gives you a hide and seek badge, which is going to go along with my rock paper scissors badge. So now I have 2 of the 3 badges to get whatever the fuck you get later in the game for getting the badges. If you go to the festival part of it, it's
you can vape.
The guy was right. It's not like Chrono Trigger. It's a shitty ass festival. It's like more like a weird like circus like freak show, and everyone's like weird and drunk. You can drink Bartweiser Light. And if you do that, then it literally goes all Yoshi's Island touch fuzzy get dizzy. Like the rest of the time you're in the area, the camera like wobbles significantly back and forth.
Yeah.
While you're running around talking.
Oh, good. I didn't do that.
You can talk to a fire breather. It's awesome. Yeah. You can talk to a fire breather, and he's like, if you hold down R2 and press X, you can breathe fire. So you press it, and that's what I'm saying about vaping. You can just like breathe purple fire as much as you want when you're in this area. You go to this one place and you get a balloon.
And then all the kids make fun of you for carrying a balloon.
Yeah. So after you get the balloon, it follows you around everywhere. And then people are like, what kind of grown-ass man gets a balloon? But then my favorite detail in this game, if you exit to the world map after that point, the balloon, I guess you lose the balloon. So you're at this little miniaturized city, and you're a little miniaturized Fae, and you see the balloon just float up into the air.
That's so
and if you watch it, it'll float in the air for like minutes as it floats up and up and up over the city, other side of the city, and finally too far away your camera can't see it anymore. They just pack so much shit into this game, and it is very much a repeat of the Millennial Fair from Chrono Trigger, although shittier on purpose.
Yeah.
But they're making all this use of 3D environments and stuff like that.
Did you find the guy with the podcast at the fair?
I don't think so. What?
There's this guy, and he's sitting there just like surrounded by junk, and you can't even open up a shop menu to see like what he wants to sell you with that junk. He's just like, have you noticed that sometimes people disappear? They're taken by what I call the sky people. It's literally Ronaldo from Steven Universe.
God.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I didn't find that, people. I didn't find that.
Yeah, he's just sitting there, and he goes off, and it's like...
Sneeple. Or no, sky people.
Skeeple. And so, it's one of those things where, like, in some games, he would go and be like, hey, here's the crazy thing. Do you want to hear more? And it's yes or no, but you can't. You're trapped, and this is one where you can't walk away. So you're just sitting there, and it's like 15 paragraph info dump about his conspiracy theories, and I loved it so much.
It's like we've all been trapped in one of those conversations before. But I was canvassing just last weekend, and oh boy, sometimes those people you canvass really want to tell you their ideas about politics, and it goes on for a long time, and you're like, how do I disengage with this person?
In proper Xenogears fashion, though, he's right about the sky people, and
of course.
And then he's like, God's army will appear out of nowhere. Haven't you heard? Don't defy them. You can't win. And I'm like, that seems like probably a plot point that's coming soon. So
you're like, yeah, that's gonna happen. Yeah. Also, I was climbing around because instead of exploring a town like a normal person, I immediately started jumping on like roofs instead of going through regular doors.
I don't think I walked on the ground until I had to for hide and seek.
Yeah. So I ended up going into a random window, And it turns out it makes a plot cutscene. I walk through a window, and this nun is like, "What the fuck are you doing climbing in my window?" "Oh, it's you, Bart. I'm the Nissan nun who is a spy who lives in this town to scope out the place." And Bart's like, "Yo, what's up? We're gonna save Margie." She's like, "Cool. Here's all the info I've got."
That's really cool that you can start it from the wrong end, because I walked in the front and I was sitting there like, all right, well, let's set up a base of operations here. I'm gonna go get us a room, and then this nun comes up and is like, excuse me, Bart, are you Prince Bartholomew? Follow me. Like she first is like real bad at infosec and is like, "Oh, remember me? I'm the spy, and I've been spying on everything, and we need to go save Margie." And Saitan's like, "Can we get a fucking room first? You're just kind of like spilling your guts in the doorway of this inn." And so then you go up to that room, and then you get the rest of the cutscene from there. But it's really cool that, of course, because they wanted to shortcut into this room through the window, that it wasn't going to like open later. You could just do it both ways because they think of everything in this game.
Yeah. Also the part where you're on the street and some random person just goes, "Prince Bartholomew?" And you can say your two choices are yes! Exclamation point, or don't know him! Exclamation point. Of course I picked don't know him. Yeah, so just a lot to do in this town. So eventually you make the plan. The plan is twofold. Faye is going to enter the martial arts tournament, because it turns out all the guards are really fucking into the martial arts tournament, and they would rather watch the tournament than do their job.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to enter the tournament and be so good at fighting and so exciting that all the guards just have to watch. And while he does that, Bart is going to, because it's not an RPG or a video game without a sewer level, sneak into the castle via an underground, via an aqueduct, which you get the key for from the hide and seek kid.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of, it's a JRPG. So far, we have our forest, we have our cave, we have our sewer. So far, we've hit all three of our dungeons. Have been the first three dungeons of every JRPG, which is like pretty great because they don't even feel like that while they're happening. Like which is nice because
it feels like you're there because that's just what the place is, and not like time for the forest level.
Yeah.
They actually have a lot of plot about this damn aqueduct. It's like the city was built on a naturally occurring large slab of rock in the middle of the desert, because that way it would be like, like the wise man building his house upon the rock. But it's limestone, so that's why there's a water table, and they explain all this shit. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's basically it. What did you guys name yourself when you entered the tournament?
Oh, before we get there, because I just remembered it. So after, and because I was looking through my screenshots. So before, when you make the plan, now Saitan isn't behind you telling you to not have any fun, and he's like, "All right, you can go and get ready in the town if you want." So if you go up to the fair,
you can finally go into that tent.
You can go into that tent, and it's it's 3 shitty mini games, and they're great. But if you walk into the tent, like the first one, Eli will hate because it is a platforming challenge. You don't fall off on anything, but like you have to jump and hit these balloons.
I didn't do any fucking mini games.
Yeah, and so you jump and hit those balloons to get points, and then it gave me like a shitload of aqua souls for winning. And then the other one,
nice.
These kids float down on their balloons and then drop their balloon, and you have to get their balloon and bring it back to the right kid. But then of course it brings like 50 kids at once, and it gets really confusing. And then the other one is the mirror of truth. And he's like, "Is this the real world? Is that the real world? Who can say?" And it's just a mirror. And you can't do anything with it. And then you go to leave. And he's like, did you find what you were looking for? And I'm like, yes. Like, what's the part of the minigame? And he's like, all right, follow me. And takes you out. I'm like, you just stole 10 gold from me to have a mirror.
Which is, that's awesome. Which, again, that exact same thing happens in Chrono Trigger. It's actually interesting. At the beginning of the game, there's a big tent. And in the tent, you go in and you play these minigames. And it's just for fun. Completely optional. And you don't even really get anything because it's a fair. It's like you're there to have fun, not to win a prize. But then, slight spoiler, going back to that fair becomes extremely important very, very late in the game.
Yeah.
You have to play the same minigames you played earlier, but for a
reason now.
Plot reason. Yeah. But, oh man, so it, Sam didn't quite totally say it. What happens is, if you go there earlier in the game with Satan with you, he's like, "Faye, this is no time for games." So
yeah, and so then when you leave, this is the cool part. So you leave, and this guy comes out. He's like, "Oh my God, Faye, is that you?" And you're just like, "What?" And he's like, "Oh hey, it's me, the blacksmith from Lahan. That if you talk to all the NPCs, you met my kid he was the one that I complained about that there was so much dialogue when I just wanted to go into the blacksmith shop at the very beginning of the game. He's like, "Oh, my wife and kid are running the shop, and I've been out doing stuff, and I've been saving up money so that I could go home and have a little lodge in a small village like Lahan and see my wife and family again." And Faye's like, but and he's like, "Well, I'm busy, so I gotta go. But say hi to my wife and daughter for me." And he just walks off. And
oh my god, that's terrible.
It's so terrible and sad for Faye, and like he just. Like, the best part is in my screenshots, he's just holding his balloon and looking so sad.
It's just like, man, that sure has been a successful couple years of working hard for my life for my wife and kids. Now time to go back to Lahan, time to drink a tall glass of water while I check out what's going on with Lahan. Oh my god. Yeah, speaking of Lahan, so the plot continues, and you decide I'm going to enter the tournament. So you get to pick a name. I chose the name Beloved Slacker.
I did too.
I kind of figured. I was like, we're all going to pick that, aren't we?
I like I usually do when I'm faced with choices that don't mean anything. I don't do it for Persona, but I do it for like every other game with a choice. I ask Summer, I'm like, pick a number between 1 and 4. And so she picked randomly, and I was the Wandering Squire.
Oh,
which is
nice.
Kind of the more like serious JRPG boy answer, but I mean,
yep. That's some real RPG hours. At least you weren't like the dragon slaying, whatever the fuck. Yeah. One of the prefixes was dragon slaying, and I'm like,
I was like, what is? There aren't dragons in this game. What are you doing, Xenogears? You're drunk.
So
I do have to
say, I would totally read a YA fiction book called The Dragon Slaying Slacker.
Yeah, he does it like on accident. Well, that's kind of like Bilbo, right?
Yeah.
So at any rate, you go to sleep. The plan starts the next day, and the next day you go behind the gate to go to the VIP section of the tournament. And who should you run into? But
Pennywise himself.
Yeah,
Little
Pennywise
Dan.
himself. Dan is there, and Dan is in the tournament. He's like, "Faye, you motherfucker, I'm gonna kill you." Basically, it's how he reacts.
And Faye doesn't get to say anything. He's just like, Dan, what's up? And Dan just like, "Nope, don't you fucking talk to me. I'm gonna fucking kill you. Everything's gonna fucking die, and it's gonna be your fault, and I'm gonna fucking kill you."
And I'm like, "Bitch, you are 2 feet tall." And then he runs out the room. And then right next to him is a mysterious cloaked man. No, not the same mysterious cloaked man as before. A different mysterious cloaked man. No, not that one either. A different mysterious cloaked man. You talk to him, and he's got an incomprehensible mask. But no, not that incomprehensible mask. A different one. And he's like, and I'm like, how many mysterious characters does this game
I'm sensing
have?
a pattern.
And how do they all know Faye?
I want to rename this game to like Everybody Knows Faye.
Yeah, Faye. Yeah, so this mysterious character is like, what's up?
Everybody knows Faye, but Faye doesn't know Faye.
Whoa.
Everybody knows Faye, except Faye.
So once again, Faye's like, "What's up, mysterious guy?" And he's like, "What's up?" And what is his name?
Wise Man. Yeah.
Wise Man.
He's a Sailor Moon villain.
No, his name is
Oh,
Wiseman.
really?
He's just Jewish. It's just his last name.
Soul Wiseman.
Yeah. Yeah. That reminds me of friggin' Guilty Gear. Guilty Gear. The guy who's sort of the kin of the series, like the kin to the main character's Ryu.
Mm-hmm.
His name is Soul Bad Guy. But here's the good part. He's not a bad guy. He's the protagonist. Why is his name Bad Guy? Or in Down Towards Pakistan, Golden Bad Man is the villain of Cowboy Free Jazz.
It's amazing.
That's one of the greatest series of words I've ever invented. Well, Brian invented it. Golden Bad Man. So anyway, the tournament starts. Faye's like, wow, these people sure all know me. You can't throw a rock without hitting someone who knows me. And Shakan gives a speech to open the tournament, and it's basically just like the troops.
Okay.
Like you think it was an American football game. Like he's literally like, we're fighting hard as we remember how the troops were fighting hard on the front lines. And we fight here to honor the troops on the front lines. And we work hard every day to like have a good economy. while the troops protect our freedoms on the front lines. And he just keeps fucking saying the troops, and I'm like, this is so believable.
Don't kneel.
So yeah, no, if you kneel, I will fucking behead you. While we play the Ave National.
Yeah.
So nearby, Ramses, after he gives his speech, Ramses and Miang show up in his in the same chamber as Shakan, and Ramses is basically like, tournaments are dumb, and Miang are like, nah, tournaments are cool actually. So Ramses leaves, and Miang is like, I'm gonna watch this tournament. And it starts. So in this next part, you alternate between two different things, and what's cool is it's actually on a timer.
Yeah.
But it's a long timer, and there's no numbers on the screen. So it doesn't feel stressful. It more just feels like time is passing, and it gives you an impression of simultaneity.
So it's not on a timer like you have 15 minutes to do it. It's on a timer, for how long Faye takes in his fight, plus probably a little bit to do it. So it's like if you take,
I don't think it's 1-to-1. But yeah.
But yeah, so if you take forever in your fight, you do a lot of defending before you beat him down because everybody is easy. I love that the second guy you fight, Big Joe, is just Hercule. But,
yep, he's literally Hercule.
So, it's Mr. Satan.
Sorry, I didn't realize I was talking to.
Satan.
I didn't realize I was talking to Eli from the Black Moon RPG.
I think you mean Boku no.
Boku no Mr. Satan Academia.
Boku no Xenogears.
But yeah, so you take a longer time on Faye, you have more time on Bart, which I thought was really cool. That it makes it feel like exactly the same length. And one of the most recent non-Kingdom Hearts 3 Kingdom Hearts game does that too, where it's you get to play as Sora for 15 minutes, and then at those 15 minutes you switch over to Riku for 15 minutes, and if you do the things that make you stay as Riku longer, Sora then gets to stay as longer the next time, and it's really cool. But
yeah, and what's neat is the way they transition it too.
It's just you get Bart, the fight scene thing on Bart's end.
Bart theoretically has no random battles at all, or any battles at all.
Yeah.
So you're just exploring, and it's quiet at first. You're swimming through the sewers, and it's just drip drops, just sound effects, ambient, and there's no battles. But then just while you're swimming or running through the palace, all of a sudden just the screen shatters. And now, but then all of a sudden, you're Faye doing the next battle in the tournament. And then after you finish the battle, you go back to being Bart. Yeah, so as Faye, you fight, everyone's pretty weak. You just stock up your hits and then wail on them.
Yeah.
And you use your heal spell or heal items. You can use heal items in between, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
The second guy you fight, as Sam mentioned, is Joe, who is the guy. Remember the guy we saw earlier in Dazil at the bar?
That wasn't him.
Yes, it is. It is Big Joe. Yeah, it's Big Joe. Yeah. He's got the he just has that same look to him.
Yep. So it's cool. So that
That's
character
cool.
that I was thinking maybe was important or something. No, it's just a joke character. Joke character. Yeah, because before this point, turns out Joe has a fan club. So a lot of the people watching the tournament are like, oh, it's Joe, I love Joe. And when you fight Joe, all of his attacks do 1 damage, but they're really flashy. But occasionally, also on a timer off screen, is the crowd is on a timer.
And they throw books at you.
The crowd will either cheer Joe and heal him for a non-trivial amount of health, or they'll throw shit at you and do 55 fucking damage.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So it's actually not an easy fight, because the crowd is trying to murder you, even though Joe sucks ass. It's really good.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you're Bart, and you have to go through this really long dungeon with some stealth segments. Sam was saying that certain parts of it are glitchy, and we can talk about that in a second. And I think that he might be some combination of right and unlucky. I'm not really sure. But there's a lot of parts that are really cool. There's a stealth section where you'll walk through a door to hide, and then when you walk out of the door, you can pick to peek out of the door, and it literally gives you a first-person view where you're cracking open the door, and you wait for the guard to walk past, and then you can go through. And what's cool is that these are 2 different areas with a loading screen in between. So, I think what happens is, as soon as you hit peek, you're actually now in the new area.
Yeah.
It loads the next area. And as soon as you hit go out the door, it just instantly you're outside because it already loaded it.
Yeah.
It's cool. There's guard to the attack patterns. What's cool is that the palace is huge, and a lot of the doors are locked, so you don't know where to go. And on one hand, that's annoying. On the other hand, that is plot relevant, because you're going here to rescue Margie, but you don't know where she is.
Yeah.
And you can kind of intuit where you should go versus not go, based on like where the guards are and the level design, right?
Yeah.
But not a ton. And what happens is, as the game progresses, as the battles that Faye does progresses, the guards are fewer and fewer. So there's some guards that will always be there because they're just patrolling, but there might be another guard who he's not patrolling; he's just at his station.
Mm-hmm.
And early in the area, there's a guard where like the guard's at his station blocking a passageway, and if you progress the battles enough, they leave. But you can also go around them. There's a different path you can take that makes you go around behind them, so you don't have to wait for Faye. So it's a combination. However, it is a little glitchy. Yeah, there was a part where, for me at least, I was almost through one area, but I saw a guard blocking a door. But as soon as I saw the guard blocking the door, the screen shattered and it went into the battle. After I finished the battle, the guard was still there, so I thought, fuck it, I'll just fight him, because frankly, Bart can fight these guards and they're not hard.
Yeah.
But I walked up to him and he didn't react to me. He just
weird.
Nothing happened. So it was a glitch. So what happened was I left the area and then I came back and the guard was gone. So the guard was supposed to be gone after that Faye battle, but it didn't work. But he also didn't fight me, so it was. That was my only experience of the scenario not working as I believe it was intended to work.
I had a glitchy.
Although most of the time, yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say I had a glitchy moment where a guard ran up to me and then just kept like running and running and running, like he's standing on top of me. Just his little feet are going. Yeah, the battle didn't initiate, and he's just running and running. Eventually, like I stepped back, and then he was like, "Oh no, okay, now we fight."
That's weird. Yeah, so
he's trying to give you a hug.
So I don't know if like I happened to get there while there already were fewer guards, and so I never noticed any moving. But like you overhear guards that are like, all right, in the pre-semifinals, we'll all go and cheer on our guy. So I finish the fight with Dan, come back. Those same guards are still there. All of the guards are still there. I never saw any fewer guards at any point. And so at that point, I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to interact with the mechanics anymore. I'm just going to walk wherever the fuck I want and fight whoever the fuck I want and do this.
Because they're weak as hell.
Just do this as like random battles in a dungeon. And so I ended up doing it that way because they build up this whole thing of like, oh, we'll distract them so Bart will have it easy, and every guard was always there. So I don't know what was wrong with me.
I think what happened was that might have just been a glitch, who knows? But for the most part, I think probably you were just going really fast, and you kept getting past the guards before the point where they would have left. Yeah, which is exactly how it was for me. Like I only saw a guard lead their shift because of a battle, like maybe twice, and that's because I got lost towards the end.
Yeah.
Because for the most part, I'm like, yeah, that guard's probably going to leave, but I'm already done with this area. But yeah, it's just this big elaborate scenario that probably doesn't work 100% perfectly because they're trying to use a relatively clunky JRPG. Like the way that JRPGs are scripted, you know, with loading screens, what kind of data is saved, what kind of world data is global, like global world data that is saved all the time and transitioned. Like I've done enough making RPG stuff to know that's very complicated. So they probably had to put a shit ton of work into making this work, and it doesn't totally work. But also it's super easy.
Yeah.
And this part was the part that made me super frustrated in the fact that in towns you will rotate your camera, and if there's a wall right there, sometimes it will raise the camera so you'll peek over the wall and can still see it. They didn't do any sort of thing like that in this dungeon, and so if you're on the ground floor outside, 7 out of 8 of the possible camera angles, you were looking at the top of the roof, and you cannot see yourself. Yep. There's only one.
There's always one angle that is the one that you're... And I will say the angle does kind of tell you where to go. Like, whatever angle is one that actually works, you can see wherever you're supposed to go from that angle.
Yeah.
But at first you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and so that plus the stealth made it where like I could never get the angle that I wanted to be able to see and properly dodge the things, and so just like at the end of it, I was just like, nah, I don't want to do it. But, at the end of it, there was a cool thing that like I like in theory, but I didn't like because I had been playing this for too long. But so the final dude you get through, which we'll go back over and finish phase in a second.
Yeah.
But so the final place you get to, you walk over to this door, and a guard sees you. So you do the thing that you've done the entire dungeon. A guard sees you, and you run to a loading zone so that you can get away from him. But that guard, you have to fight because he's guarding the door that leads to Margie. And so I ran into him early on in my exploration of the dungeon because he's not hard to get to. But because he was a guard, I ran away from him and then was like, okay, well then where's the tower? And there's a thing that looks like a tower and you climb it like a tower, but at the top...
and then it's a fake out.
And then at the top, it's a throne room and not the Margie. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't know where anything is anymore. And it took me
what
forever.
I realized at this point is that in the earlier cutscene where they were doing the West Wing style thing, Ramses and Miang walk from the throne room to Margie's room, and you see the entire route.
Yeah.
So the player's supposed to remember that. I didn't remember
that.
With Alice was focusing on the dialogue and stuff. It wasn't like, oh, I should remember the geometry of this area. But yeah, so you're actually looking around like, where the fuck is Margie? So Faye's side of it is neat. You fight some random dude. You fight Joe. You fight like a fucking chemist who's throwing potions at you. And I'm like, surely this should not be allowed. Like,
in a martial arts tournament.
This person's literally throwing fucking potions at me. Like, it's fucking Shovel Knight.
Oh, Plague of Shadows.
Plague of Shadows, yeah. You're fighting literally fucking Plague Knight. And all these sprites are one-off sprites that are beautifully detailed and have the coolest fucking animations. You never see them again in the game. Really should have, I don't know. It's just the budget management in this game was not what it could have been.
As
we'll see later.
I'm really surprised that this martial arts tournament wasn't wolves and orcs and shit like it is in every other game.
Yeah.
When there's like, all right, let's go to the stadium, and you're like, okay, who am I fighting? Well, up first is Goblin and 4 hobgoblins.
Yeah. So then after that, though, you fight Dan, and Dan sucks.
Did you fight him?
Okay, so I thought maybe I'll do the fucking Final Fantasy IV thing where I like hit defend a bunch where I don't fight him. But I tried that just a little bit, nothing happened, so then I just kicked his ass.
Oh, so you do it long enough, and he's like, "Why won't you fight me?" And you're just like, "Dan, stop it!" And he's like, "I won't give you." And Faye's like, "Look, you're my friend. There's no way I could ever bring myself to strike you." And he's like, and then Dan's like, "Oh well, I'm mad at you. I'm going to run away, but you're going to have to keep Alice's wedding dress." And because I want every time you look at it to be reminded of all of your trauma, because this is way worse than me punching you.
Yeah.
And so you get a special item called Alice's wedding dress.
And apparently the guys can wear it, which is great. I appreciate this. Very forward thinking.
Yeah, actually, so what happened was, here's what happened. Maybe it didn't work for me. I actually meant to do that, but on the very first turn of the battle, I accidentally hit him instead of defending. So maybe if you hit him a single time, then you can't do that.
That'd probably do it.
You know?
So
because I defended probably like 5, 6, 7 fucking times, but that was after having already hit him once.
Yeah, so if you defend the first time, he'll come and he'll punch you. One of my favorite thing that he does is he's not a martial artist. He literally tackles you to the ground, sits on your chest, and just punches you in the face. And it's one of the best animations in the game so far.
Yeah, and there's a dramatic camera angle, and it does the whole like thing that happens when you charge a death blow, where he like glows.
Yeah, and it's so cool. But so he does all of that, and he has like 10 or so like unique things that he says that you defend through. And I happened to, on the last one, be about to die, so I healed myself. And then the next one, he just attacks you, and he doesn't say anything. And I'm like, fuck, did I ruin it? Did I mess it up? And so then you defend some more, and it's like an extra 10 or 15 turns. So it might have not been broken for you. It just...
Well, the reason why I didn't keep defending, though, was because I assumed if I defended, he would say something, and he didn't say. He didn't have any dialogue.
Okay,
so that's why I assumed, I guess that's not part of this game. I guess I just have to kick his ass.
Yeah. But yeah, you defend long enough, and then he just falls to the ground and cries and gives you a wedding dress. But it was...
Well, that definitely is more
cool.
in character for Faye, obviously. Faye would not kick Dan's ass, even though I would.
It would have been sad if...
I wanted to.
It would have been sad if Dan wasn't such an obnoxious, hideous little child.
Yeah.
Yep. So after the Dan fight, you fight the Wise Man. What are you
Saul Wiseman.
Saul Wiseman. Yeah, exactly. Ishmael Wiseman. Yeah, and you fight him, and he just... So this is the finals. And again, the whole point is Faye's supposed to be making a really exciting, explosive fight that everyone's going to want to watch. And every time you fight Wiseman, he just fucking dodges you.
And then the crowd
boos. He doesn't... Yeah, and the crowd's like, boo, you stink! And then he doesn't attack you. He just sits there. So the crowd is like, this is fucking bullshit. This is the stupidest fight I've ever seen. And then since my hitting wasn't working, I start defending too. And the crowd's like, what the fuck? Y'all are just defending. And then I forget exactly what happens, honestly, but Wiseman ends up saying some mysterious shit.
He's like, why are you fighting? And he's like, why fight is none of my own business. And he's like, so you're not fighting for anything? And he's like, that's not what I said, you asshole. Shut up. I'm in the middle of finding my purpose. So he says, I'm in the middle of finding for my purpose because proofreading a 60-hour game is hard.
Yeah, and then he's like, well, you ain't gonna find it here. And then he says some shit.
He's like, oh, then you're only looking at yourself. You're not looking up. You're looking down, and like that, you'll find nothing. Yeah.
So he's saying wise shit because he's a wise man. And then he's like, you never call me. I'm not Jewish.
You never call your boy
that. Yeah, but that's relevant because then he's basically like, you fight so strongly. I haven't seen, and then he's like, you sure have grown since that day on that doorstep. And Faye's like, what the fuck? And then he's like, something, I'm definitely not your father. And this is not me who's played the game spoiling it. It's like, even Faye's like, are you my father?
You mean my dad?
I mean my dad. Like, it's fucking obvious. He's just like dropping extreme. It's basically like Arrested Development where he's like, I wish I'd met my father, and this guy's like, maybe you already have. And the music's like, dun dun dun. So then he ollies outie. He's just like, you need to find your purpose. Okay, bye. So he runs off, and then Faye wins the battle by default because his opponent forfeited and left, and the crowd is like, that was stupid. Yeah, and Faye's like, cool, everyone knows me, everyone's my dad. Everyone either is my dad or killed my dad. Basically. Two different masked men.
Yeah.
Imagine how dumb the twist would have been at the end of Star Wars Episode 5 if he was just like, Obi-Wan said you killed my father. And he's like, no, I worked with your father.
Your
dad is just some other fucking guy.
Your father.
I sold your dad ice cream one time.
Yeah. No, he's like, I didn't kill your father. I loved your father.
Yes. I like this one.
Exactly. Yeah, that'd be good. So nothing happens with it. It's just a bunch of foreshadowing and what the hell's happening. So now you're back to being
Bartholomew.
Bartholomew. Fatima the 15th or whatever the fuck. And you get to what's her name? Margie. I think it's Sophie, but that's later in the game. And Margie's cute, and she's like, "Thanks for saving me, dog." But
let me grab my stuffed animal real quick.
Oh yeah, let me grab my conspicuous stuffed animal real quick because this game is really stupid. Spoiler alert: it's the dumbest part of the game, but I like it.
Yeah. I already could tell it was stupid from like the next scene where it's important, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so dumb. I'm so in love with it.
So you save and you heal and you leave, and even though you put all this work into being stealthy, who should you run into on the way out but literally the most powerful person in the army who you should be trying to avoid at all costs? That always happens to like Metal Gear too. It's like it's a stealth mission. Except when you have to fight a boss because they were waiting for you to get there.
Yeah.
Because the level design only has one way to go. So the bosses are just like, wait, doesn't matter how good this guy is at stealth. We'll just wait in front of the one door.
Yeah.
And then make him fight us. And that's what happens here. So you fight Ramses. How was this fight for y'all?
So the first time in the fight, I got totally pwned because I wasn't paying attention. Because at first I was like, so what happens is my Bart only had 181 health points at this point.
That's about how much I had.
And so you you're fighting him and you're punching on him, and Margie's healing you, and Mayang is healing Ramses, except I had my Cobra Cracker on, so she was just depoisoning him, and I'm like, I did it, I found the secret.
That's so good.
And then he hits me for 179 damage.
Ooh.
And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm supposed to lose this fight. A boss doesn't do that much damage to you if you're supposed to win, but of course I'm a stick in the mud and I'm going to try and win anyways, and I just ended up losing because he just hit me for so hard, because he goes into his defensive stance where it says on the bottom is like going to copy your attack and all of this shit that like I should have paid attention to, but I didn't.
It wasn't subtle.
It wasn't subtle at all, but I missed it completely. And so he's in his fucking stance, and I hit him in that, and that's when he does almost all of your health. And so then the second time, I realized that I should just basically be healing the entire time, and then the one turn after that, get a pop shot off because I'll have full health and not need to be defending and all that stuff. Do that 5 times so that I have a full combo meter, and then just combo him with 7 of his whip smacks or whatever.
Yep. That was still really hard for me because even his normal attack was doing like
Oh yeah, it still did 40 or 50.
Damage, and Margie's heal spell heals you for 20, but she misses like half.
She can heal for up to 40.
To my own heals.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, really nice.
But that's like a critical hit, and it never happens.
So for me, even though I was doing it quote unquote right, well, first of all, I wasn't poisoning him, so Miang was fucking him up. What happened was I died. What happened was after I died, I just made sure I just switched my equipment up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I just changed my equipment where I only equip stuff that raised your defense.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's all I did. I think that's the only change that I made. And after that point, it was easy because then he was only doing like 25 damage to me per attack, and that just made it. That made all the difference. Like I was still not hurting him for a whole lot, but I could keep up with healing myself, relatively easily. So then I could just do a battle of attrition, and it worked out just fine. And yeah, I stocked up 20 points and then wailed on him. I don't think I actually killed him, so I did it again. Stocked up 20 more points and then wailed on him. Yeah, and the reason you have to do that is, well, actually, stocking up and wailing on him isn't always the right decision, because what happens is, did y'all feel like Niang healed at random, or only when he got low on health?
At random, I think.
It was random.
Okay, I was thinking Niang was only healing him when he was low on health, so I was like, I'll stock up, but then I'll use normal attacks to hit him until he's a little lower, and then once Niang heals him like one time, then I'll finish him off, right? Wail on him, because you would hate if you wailed on him and it got him to like 5 health, and then Miang healed him right afterward, right? Anyway, I couldn't tell if it was random or not, so that was my strategy. Anyway, you beat him.
Real quick,
and
as far as my experience with the fight goes, thanks for forgetting about him, jerk. It's okay. I'm used to it. I'm just gonna make you feel as bad as I can. I was gonna say, you remember how when you first came on the podcast, when we were playing Persona 3, and you told us how much we suck at video games? I fucking one-shot this asshole. Well, by one-shot, I mean I one-attempted it. Of course, Sam gave me some tips, but I also learned from doing the tournament fights that just saving up all my points and then doing a fuck ton of Raijins will help. So I used the same strategy with Bart, and I had his 4-point combo unlocked, so I just did a whole bunch of those, and that did him the first time, and then the second time, I just, I would defend during the mirror phase, and I would use just a triangle and then cancel until I got full points on both Bart and Faye, and then I fucked him up.
Yeah.
Nice. You punched out all of his blood.
It was great.
Yeah.
It was
You ripped the blood.
One thing that actually helps a lot too, I found out, is even though I wasn't able to do the poison thing, which would have been smart, Bart does have that spell that lowers accuracy. And first of all, it would have been nice to actually be able to have it lower his accuracy.
Yep.
And he would have missed. But no. What I'm saying, him missing me would have helped because of how much damage he does. But same thing. If you use that, then Miang will heal that status effect instead of healing him. So it was still worthwhile for me to use it because Miang doesn't attack as often as he does. He attacks every couple of turns. So I would when he was in defensive stance especially, I would use Wild Smile or whatever. One thing about these games, the Takahashi games, starting with Xenogears, not really starting with Chrono Trigger, Status effect spells are good. Use them. In Xenosaga, I remember especially, like, there's a poison in Xenosaga where it's like a higher level poison. There's no the basic poison in Xenosaga is based on percentage, not number, so it's 10% of your health every turn.
Damn.
But that's how it is for enemies too. And there's a higher level poison that is 25% of your health, total health, not current health. So it's like status effects are intense. If you use them, they will help. So just real RPG hour. This isn't Final Fantasy where you just ignore them because it's better to just hit them.
Yeah. So we skipped over a little bit in between. So we fight Ramses, and he's like, "Oh, you suck so much. I'm going to kick your butt so much." And then Faye shows up, and then you fight the same fight again, but it's twice as hard. Like all the numbers are just doubled. Which
also when Faye shows up, he fucking decks him.
Yeah.
Like literally, Faye jumps from off screen, charges up his death blow, and like does like a downward punch. Like because Ramses is already on the ground, like kneeling because he's a little winded.
Mm-hmm.
So Faye like punches him from the air downward over his head and just smashes him into the fucking ground. It looks intense. He decks him. And then you have the 2-on-1 fight, and again you just deck him.
Before the two-person fight, Ramses is like, that punch reminds me of a punch I punched a long time ago.
I punched
and it shows
a punch
a
of time
flashback of the third
Predator,
the third contender for Faye's father, back in time, just like on his feet, punching gears until they explode, and it's the most cool anime thing in the game so far.
Yeah. I just realized isn't this the plot of Mamma Mia? Here we go again. Like you're trying to find out who your dad is. I didn't see it, but I believe that was the plot. Is that the main character is trying to figure out like, oh, I'm what's her name? I'm Meryl Streep's kid, but Meryl Streep slept with a lot of guys that summer, so I gotta figure out who my main dad is.
Like you do.
That's either the plot of the sequel, which I didn't see but read a review of, or the plot of the original movie, which I did see but apparently don't remember very well because I don't remember what happens in it. But I just love how he's like, Faye reminds me of someone from my past, and I'm like, yeah, I know. This is Xenogears. Everyone fucking is from Faye's past. It's not unusual. Also, before this battle even starts, Ramses is like, you know, you can never defeat us. We're too strong. And Bart is fed up with him, and he goes, "Pull your head out, you geek."
I love that line.
Or I guess you gender geek.
You gender geek.
Kimmy
This
Gibbler.
whole thing y'all know the classic, the famous drill tweet about gender, right?
No, I don't think so.
I
Oh my gosh,
probably
hold on.
do. I
I'm
just
looking
can't.
up. It's probably the all-time best drill tweet. It's so good that for my wedding to Melissa, we had for our wedding programs, we did like zines for our wedding programs.
Cute.
And on one of the pages on the wedding program, we did like what you do like with a yearbook, where you have like yearbook quotes, you know,
That's great.
from our wedding party, from our respective parties. Each person had a quote, and Bernard, my best man, provided. And the hilarious thing is not only that he thought of this, but that I had legitimately thought of it like, even though like I didn't get to provide a wedding quote, but it was like the number one thing I'd already thought of because Bernard's my best friend. So we literally used a drill quote as we put it in our fucking wedding program. It's quote. So like this first sentence is dialogue, so it's got a quotation marks around it. "This whole thing smacks of gender," I holler as I overturn my uncle's barbecue grill and turn the 4th of July into the 4th of shit. Which is exactly how I feel hanging out with my conservative family, right? This whole thing smacks of gender. And then I ruin the 4th of July. So anyway, yeah, so after you deck Ramses for the second time.
Wait. That drill quote is literally a sum up of the first chapter of the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everyone's like, when you going to get married? And then he turns the 4th of July to the 4th of shit.
The 4th of shit, yeah. No, it's the best drill quote of all time. So anyway, after that point, you're still fighting Ramses, and some voice from off screen or a voice in your head, I don't know, says like, "Faye ... is the name of my child." And then Faye's sprite flashes to being that red-haired predator figure, and then flashes back to being Faye, and then he charges up superpower again and goes nuts and wails on Ramses. And then Ramses is like, "WTF?" And then a random guard shows up in an elevator and is like, "Hey guys, what's going on in this thread?" And
And everybody...
And then y'all literally punch him out of the way, get in the elevator, and run off. And then once again, Ramses is like, if Faye is who I think he is, then I'm just...
Faye Faye is everyone's kid, apparently, too.
Yeah.
Everyone's kid or dad or rival or something. So you go down this elevator, and you end up in the huge-ass hangar from the Star Wars-ass scene earlier in the game.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, it's all just cutscenes, which is great. You don't have to walk through any of these areas. And the game does that thing where, once again, so you go through the hangar, and there's some guards, so you run away from the guards, and then you're in some, like, office building-looking hallways, like some clean, just businessy looking, like government hallways, underground. And all of a sudden, once again, the game does that thing where it cuts to a new character. You cut to another room.
And it's Ellie.
And who should be in that room but Ellie?
Real quick, I just remembered a thing. So you run to the elevator, and Faye turns to Bart and is like, hey, Bart, this is your castle. Where does this elevator go? And Bart's like, I don't know. I just saw an opening, so I took it.
It wasn't here before.
We'll just see what happens. We made the plan to get Margie, not get her out. So we'll just wing it from
Let's
here.
Just go in this elevator. Which also reminds me of, sorry, I too many Down Pack references here, but there's a part towards the end of Down in Pakistan where you don't know where to go because all the paths are blocked off, and suddenly a chute opens up, and it's all, hop in me. You're like, okay. The chute has dialogue, and the chute says,
wow,
hop in me.
That's weird.
It is. Anyway, yeah, so Ellie's here, and the computer is all like, there's intruders, and Ellie walks right out the door and smacks right into Faye, as Faye's running, and Faye's like, Ellie's like, get the fuck in here. So they get the fuck in there, in the room, and they're like, who the hell is this? And Faye's like, it's chill, this is Ellie, we're good. And I'm like, are you good though? You don't know this person very well.
And so Bart is like, okay, explain me how we are quote unquote good with a Gebler officer. And Faye's like, wait, you're a Gebler officer? And she's like, remember the uniform that I'm currently wearing?
So then she confesses everything. She's like, oh yeah, hey Faye, by the way, I'm a Gebler officer, and I stole the Kislev gear and crashed in your village, and that's why it all got destroyed. And Faye's like, yeah, I know, I heard you when you were talking.
And she does it in just a huge paragraph, which makes me think that she was kicking herself after she left the forest and was just like, all right, I gotta like practice this in the mirror. And so she just had like, okay, what if I ever see Faye again, this is what I'm going to say. Because it's like this prepared, like bullet by bullet, like here's all the things. You gotta
spit it out quickly. Yeah, is what I've learned for sure. So she confesses it, and he's like, it's chill. And she's like, why would it be chill? And he's like, look, you had to do your thing. Like, you were doing your thing, I was doing my thing, whatever the fuck. So then Ellie is like, well, we'll help you. Oh, she's like, what are you doing here? And they're like, well, they kidnapped Margie. And she's like, that's not really chill. You shouldn't kidnap people. So I'll help you escape. And Faye's like, awesome. And Margie is like, awesome. And Bart is like, y'all. It's like, you do not know this person. Faye, you met this person one fucking time. She's literally an enemy soldier. She never stopped being an enemy soldier. Like, she hasn't apologized. She hasn't even said she's not an enemy soldier. She just says, and she's like, hey, follow me. I'll take you to the gear hangar so you can escape. And you're just like, cool, definitely not a trap. And Bart is like, what the fuck is wrong with y'all? And Faye and Margie's like, I can just tell she's a good person.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a lot of self-preservation instinct is all I'm saying. At least with Faye in the forest, at least he was like wanting to die. You know, at least he had an excuse. But now they ostensibly don't want to die, so, you know, what the fuck. But turns out she's not lying. So they go to the hangar, and Faye's like, come with us. And she's like, no, next time I see you, we'll be enemies. And he's like, alright.
And I'm like, no, we won't.
Nah.
But then, because they clearly like each other, they want to bone, but she also like, back off, he's mine, bitch.
She also gives you the skeleton key for the entire Gebler military force of gears.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, here, use this code, it'll let you use any gear in the hangar.
Yeah, I'm like, that seems like treason. Extremely high treason. Again, no infosec, they're just fucking winging it. Also, at this point, they actually do, like, vocally acknowledge that there's some sort of chemistry between them beyond just Faye being a trusting idiot. It's like, no, like, they like each other. That's why this is happening. Mm-hmm. And, like, it's more than just, oh, I had a face turn, you know?
Yeah.
So they launch their gears, and they're flying away in their gears, and Ramses is like, hey, literally our entire Air Force, go chase those gears. But then
Gets
someone says, "Hey, Ramses, I've got a message saying you should call off your forces from
Ikutski.
from Hugh." And it's like, what?
Hugh, Saitan's working for Kimmy Gebler the whole time.
Ramses is literally like, A, what the fuck is Hugh doing here? Also, B, I instantly do what he says and call off my entire forces, even though it's a really huge fucking deal because we were making a big deal about this person that we captured to interrogate and get the magical item. But Hugh says stop, I stop instantly, and I'm like, wait, why didn't he just do that originally? I mean, I probably get why. He probably did not want to do whatever he's doing now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that I think is the big plot thing from this chapter, which is like Hugh isn't just mysterious and knows things. He just gave an order to the commander of this army.
Yeah.
and it was heated.
It should also be called Everybody Knows Saitan.
Yeah.
Seriously, yeah. Yeah, but at least Saitan has an excuse. At least he's a mysterious motherfucker. Faye's just some idiot.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's success. You rescued Margie. Hooray. Everyone's happy about it. They're like, thanks for being back here. They have a conversation where they explain why Margie gets captured, and I like this little bit of characterization here. Apparently, there were a bunch of other nuns from Nisan that got captured, and she thought they were all dead, but she heard they were still alive, so I guess she was already in Ave, maybe, maybe she was already in Ledovic, and she, I guess, tried to rescue them herself, because she's impulsive just like Bart, but it was a trap. Like, the prisoners weren't even alive. It was just that they had intentionally leaked that information as a trap to trick her. And they're like, that was really stupid. And she's like, I know it was. I'm sorry, but I had to. I had to do it to him.
So my favorite part of this is Rabbit Boy is like that. That was a trap. You're stupid. Sigurd was like, that's a trap. You're stupid. But Bart says, next time, just tell me, and I'll go for you. And I'm like, he's the sweetest man.
He is a good boy. I love him.
Bart owns. Yeah, Bart fucking gets it. And anyway. But also she is like, yeah, I know for a fact that my grandparents were executed, and everyone's like, oh, that's so sad.
Yeah.
Alexa played Despacito.
I believe
Alexa play On Two Wings.
I believe she says her mom and her grandma.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe that was it. Oh, did y'all listen to Two Wings?
I did. I put it in the podcast. It's great.
It's really good. English version or Japanese version?
English version, which I like. I like a whole lot.
Love her voice.
It feels like it was supposed to be an English song, with which it being a Gaelic thing, it probably was supposed to be an English song.
Yeah, good point. Yeah. So then, they're like, let's go to the bridge. So you go to the bridge, and there is one of the most outrageously stupid examples of plot gating I've ever seen in my life.
literally stupidest thing I've ever seen.
That little pink stuffed animal from earlier, which is like, again, like a foot tall or less, is blocking the door to the bridge, and they're like, well, I guess we can't go to the fucking bridge. Let's go get Margie to get this thing out of the way, this stuffed animal. And
it's not like we can move it ourselves or anything.
They keep very pointedly calling it a stuffed animal, like drawing attention, like, oh, it's just a stuffed animal. And then it like makes a little noise, and they're like, what the fuck was that? And they're like, I don't know. And then if you click on it, it says it's lukewarm.
Ew.
Gross.
Lukewarm is the grossest way to say it has body heat.
It has body heat. So you go and you find Margie, and you're like, hey Margie, you should go move your stuffed animal, because apparently only you can do this. But then what should happen? But the door opens, and the stuffed animal waddles right in, and it's like, what's up? And
so before the ancient predecessor to the Nupon walks in.
Yep, it's exactly what it is. See, they've been doing this shit the entire time. That's why I love this game so much. Takashi wanted to do one fucking thing, and that's all he's been doing his whole career.
Yeah, and so before it walks in, you're like, go get that filthy fucking thing out of the way. And Margie's like, that's not a thing. Its name is ... and lets you name it. And
that's when you're like, oh god, this thing is a party character. Because you can name it, right?
What did you guys name your chu-chu? Or did you just take the default?
I named it all caps Luffy.
Luffy.
I don't know, it just sounded appropriate.
That's great. What about you, Eli?
Her name's Snoo Snoo.
Nice.
So,
oh well, it turns out she gets really powerful, so the enemies will be experiencing death by snooze.
Yes.
so I sat there and I was like, do I want to be like a tweet and be like, me knowingly name her a Napon name, or what should I do? And so then I turned to Summer and I'm like, Summer, what should I name this thing? And she looks up for half a second and just like, her name is Angelica. And so so my chu-chu's name is Angelica. I was going to name it Randall at first, and then I ended up with Angelica. So it's great. But
that's fantastic.
And then
yeah, so this is a party character, and then Luffy declares her undying love for Faye.
Yep.
She's like, I just met you, and I love you, and I want to be married. And Bart's like, hey, as the commanding officer of this situation, I give you permission. And they're all just bragging, and they're like, he's like, I'm going to leave you two alone. He just walks out, and he's like, enjoy, Faye and Luffy. And yeah, Luffy's just like, I love you forever, and Faye's just like, okay. Yeah, so that is, we sure just got a new party member very suddenly.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's one more scene. At this point, they're like, let's go to Nissan. And at this point, technically, it's the next chapter, but we kept going a little farther.
Mm-hmm.
There's an optional dialogue. I think it's optional here, where you talk about, you can talk to Margie.
Mm-hmm.
And Margie says that Bart keeps bragging about being your friend. And then Margie
your
just
friend,
tells you,
quote unquote.
And then Margie just says that Bart is really awesome and he's responsible and is always there. Oh, she says that when they were young, when Bladevic was first invaded and they were ousted in the coup, they were beating the shit out of them, and Bart got in the way and got the shit beat out of him to protect Margie. And at that point, Margie realized Bart was a great person, so she vowed to always protect him and be there for him. But it turns out that he's really more protecting her, probably because she's a small child.
Mm-hmm.
But
Bart's a good person.
Man,
you should marry him.
Yeah. So she's just like, dude, Bart's like ride or die, Faye. Like, trust, like you need to, like you can get that. Like,
she's
dude, I, like promise.
She's like, screw the Titanic. This ship is unsinkable.
yeah. She's like being a super wingman to Bart, and it's just really sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's it. So then it's like, cool, you can now drive the Yggdrasil around. We could earlier as well. You can now drive the Yggdrasil around. Let's go. Now that we've rescued Nissan, the Holy Mother of Nissan, Margie, let's go to Nissan.
Which we will do next week.
You get to the world map and you save.
Yay! We did it.
Yeah, we did. Well, a lot of stuff in this chapter.
Yeah. And thankfully there wasn't a lot of plot because there was a lot of cool gameplay and like cinematic stuff that we got to talk about, which was really cool.
I was thinking this wouldn't take as long, but it turns out that being less plot just meant we got more time to actually talk about other things.
Yeah, like we got to finally mention the combo system because it was important this time.
Exactly.
But
I gotta say, I think this section is sensational.
Yeah.
The technical and the scripting aspects of it, and the set piece and the way it's put up, I think it's just so fucking advanced.
Yeah.
And I'm just like the cinematicness of it, the city of Bladevic, the drama. I'm just like, it's the substance of it is the same as always. It's just like, here's a bunch of mysterious shit that you don't know what it is yet.
Mm-hmm.
But it's
the present.
Here's, I think the game. I feel like the game really hit its stride basically, because it's like, yeah, every single second of this game is going to have something really cool going on. It's never just a typical RPG where you just go through a dungeon.
Yeah, it was super cool. There was one thing earlier. It was in the, since we kind of are talking about our favorite parts of the thing anyways, but it was in the Gebler shows up to the base fight. There's a part where like two of the robots are fighting and their like arms are interlocked and the camera is like following them dynamically in the fight, and then it stops and goes like through their arms, like moves through their arms to go and see Saitan and be like, oh well, I got to jump in a gear and stop these people or something. Like the camera is so fluid and moving everywhere in ways that like even modern RPGs don't like it's just so cinematic and great. And to think that like I'm getting all of these like goosebumps and chills and I'm looking at some of, like, to be fair, some of the worst sprite work in, like, any game. Like, the sprites are kind of ugly, and, like, you can barely tell what any of them are half the time, but it just works because they are just so fluid with the camera and everything, and I forget that, like, I can't understand any portion of Saitan's sprite to know what I'm looking at. But...
Oh my gosh, speaking of sprites, freaking Dan's idle sprite in the battle is amazing.
Yeah.
He's literally just shaking his hand like, I'm gonna get that thing.
Why I oughta.
I took a little video of it, and it does look like he's just shaking his hand like, why I oughta. But if you're
gross.
A gross person like me, it also looks like he's just backing off vigorously.
Oh my god. Wow.
That's what it looks
For
like.
some
I took a
reason,
video of it, and
that
I
was
like,
not the first thought that came to my head.
But it's actually, well, I didn't think about it first. I actually took a video of it because I thought it was just really intricate and detailed and evocative sprite work, and it wasn't until after I recorded the video that I was like, yeah, it looks like something else is happening here.
Yeah. But yeah, the mobile camera is probably going to continue to be my favorite part of this game. Like,
oh, you just wait till next chapter, because
like,
things. I mean, you might notice things are heating up. Things are finally going to explode for sure next time.
Yeah.
All the shit happens next week, and there's a lot of robots and a lot of 3D and a lot of camera.
I am very excited.
Eli, what was your favorite part or least favorite part?
I liked the fight with Big Joe a lot. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good.
Like, I've done that shtick before in a lot of JRPGs of like, oh, you got to go fight Mr. Satan and beat him as soon as you can or whatever, and it's so easy, and it was a big thing. But never has it been. It's actually a hard fight though, because his fans throw books at you.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Ooh, another favorite thing I liked when you're fighting Dan, and he does his, like you said, that really evocative emotional kind of tackle. Also, though, if the RNG decides that he misses, he literally just does a flying leap tackle and then just fucking goes past you and lands on the ground.
That's so good.
It's hilarious. I'm like, yeah, fuck you, Dan. Actually, this game has a lot of custom miss animations, I've noticed.
Yeah.
For various attacks, which is also neat. Or like when Wiseman dodges, it's just a very smooth, like, shoo, you know, like shuffle off to the side and dodge your move, like Tai Chi shit.
Another bit of animation that was really good besides Dan's, like everything that Dan does, just like him yelling in the forest to be like, I hate you, you murderer, didn't do anything for me, but just like the veracity that he attacked you in the martial arts thing, like made me feel things, and that was cool.
And that's all due to the sprite, the camera, and the particle effects. Particle effects do a lot of work in this game. Like Bart's whips,
his
like
whips,
some kind of weird 3D particle thing that are attached to his sprite, and they whip around like a fucking wacky inflatable tube man.
And it makes it look like Bart himself is animated more than everybody else, but he actually isn't. It just that whip is animated so well.
It's just like freaking havoc physics on his whips. Yeah, you watch him whip, you watch him nay.
Yeah, but the one I was going to bring up besides Dan's is the first fight you're in. The guy just will like tear into you, and he like knocks Faye up into the air, grabs him, pummels him. Like that whole animation there was like super awesome the first time. It's then his like basic attack for most of the thing, and it gets a little old, but it's like animated super duper well, and it's like, again,
this is just some random bit fight that isn't important, and this dude just wails on Faye, and it does like 20 damage. It's like, that should have done more. You just that's like, because like that's the equivalent of a death blow for Faye, you know, like annihilating the shit out of somebody. For him, it's just like, no, I just do this all the time. This is my one move that I've learned. I worked really hard on this one martial arts move, and I'm not gonna learn it anymore.
Yeah,
that's probably why he dies in the first round of the tournament.
Yeah, for sure.
So for next time, we're gonna be playing a number of chapters. Actually, we're going to be playing the chapters Road to Nissan, City of Peace, Recapture Ave, and Desert Despair. So just 4 chapters again, but after this point, we'll probably be playing more chapters per week. So what happens? I'll just go ahead and tell you when you're going to be stopping. A bunch of super dramatic shit happens in the middle of the desert, bunch of cutscenes and plot shit, and disaster strikes. I won't say whether things end up well or not, whether you succeed or not, but you know, everything goes to shit, and it's a very tense situation. And at the end, it does the thing where the game actually fades to black, and it just gives you a "Do you want to save?" prompt.
So we're going to
save right there.
Cool.
Yep. I don't. Maybe there's 2. Do you want to save prompts? And I don't know about the first one, but I don't think so. If it turns out there's more than one, I'll tell you. Do the second one.
Okay.
But I feel like without spoiling anything, you will know it when you get there. All the dramatic shit happens, and then you get a save prompt.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
So save it, Luna, in between the chapters.
Yeah, exactly. Save it, Luna, in between the chapters, and don't. I mean, I guess you can, go on a little bit if you want, but like ideally, like that's a chapter break, so just save and then immediately turn the game console off, and you don't even know where you're gonna be when the camera when the lights come back on, So that's fun.
Cool.
Great.
Yep. So that's it for the week. Thanks for listening. If you like what you hear and you want to help us cover hosting costs and game costs. You can always find us on Patreon, patreon.com/rpgbookclub. Shout out to our 2 new listeners this week, FYI, right? 2? At least in the Discord.
Yeah. We got JRPG Goddess herself, Desert Stream, showed up. And then, what was the other person's name? I have Discord up. Let me just go and look. About Follower 03. Yeah, maybe follower. Yeah. It doesn't have enough letters to be follower. But
although that person just said that they're just starting listening to Persona, so they're not going to hear the shout out for a very long time.
But shout out to them nonetheless.
Of course.
Yeah. Shout out regardless. You'll hear it eventually, hopefully, if you keep listening.
Yeah.
And if you do keep listening all the way, first of all, what is wrong with you? And second of all, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Extreme Shinji voice. Thank you all.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that you've kept listening to us. Like, I'm sorry that you have to hear me all the time whining about these games. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Like you do you, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, so we're also on Patreon, patreon.com/rpgbookclub. We got a Twitter @rpgbookclub. Email rpgbookclub@gmail.com. But as usual, the biggest plug is our Discord. There's not a fancy URL. There's a link in the description. We like to have a good time up in the Discord. Right now, we've been talking a lot about Kingdom Hearts 3's box art,
and also the PlayStation Classic, which was announced like 6 hours ago from when we're recording this. And
interesting.
Yeah, and we've been all making our bingos, so we'll see who's right when that comes out, holiday 2018. So.
I do want to share one journalist shared. He's like, the PS1 Classic is cool and all, but I'd be more excited about it if it was on Switch. And I'm like, that's just the mood right now. That's how everyone feels about everything.
Yeah.
Anyway, please join us next week where we will be playing all the way through, again, the end of the chapter entitled Desert Despair. Once again, save when you get to the black screen save prompt. So for RPG Book Club, I've been Michael Webben.
I've been Sam Allman.
And I've been Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
Bye.
Bye.
You mean my dad?